Hi, it's Amanda with Music Game Club, and today we're going to explore how to play Neighborhood Notes. So this is like a glorified flashcards game. So first, I'll walk you through everything you will get in the game download. So you see here, you have the game board, and you also have all of the game pieces. Now, if you notice, these have little signs with numbers. So this has a 3, this has a 1, this has a -1, and these are all important. They match what is on the board, so I will get to that later. There are 32 note cards. These cards feature treble clef, middle C to high C, or C4 to C5, and bass clef, low C to middle C, or C3 to C4. There are 2 of each card. So like there are 2 treble clef middle Cs, there are 2 of these Ds, and I will explain later why this is. You have the instruction sheet, which I am basically walking you through everything that this says, but if you want to refresh your memory, then you could just read. As always, we have a colorful success poster. This one says, I named my notes and won. And then we have an activity sheet that your students can bring home to do a little bit of theory and also color and have fun. All right, so let's learn how to play Neighborhood Notes. The first step you're going to do is get the buildings, and you are going to use one less building than there are players. So if you have 4 players, you're going to use 3 buildings. If there are 5 players, you're going to use 4 buildings. Basically, all the buildings go where they are on the board. So the bank has 3 points, it goes here. The goal of this game is, well, it's twofold. If you have younger students, their goal is to get over 5 points. If you have older students, the goal is to get exactly 5 points. So right now I'm just putting them all here. So for instance, if you're getting exactly 5 points, you can win this in 2 rounds if you manage to get the bank and the doggy daycare. But if you have a lot of players, it's played like spoons. I'll get more into that in a second. Basically, whoever gets the first match can grab first. So if you're playing with 5 students and you're the 5th one, well, there might not be one left for you to get. Or if you do decide you want to have 1 building per student, that's also fine because there's some negative numbers here. So let's say you're one of the last ones to draw. You might only have a -1 left. So if you did really well and picked up the bank last time, this time you might get a -1. You will need a pen and paper to keep points aside, or just expect the students to remember, but it might be easier to keep track on yourself. So yeah, it can be a little tricky because there's a little math involved. So yeah, theoretically, get the 3, get the 2, win. But there's also ones and negatives, and you might not be the first one to get a match. So theoretically easy, yes, but when you're playing, it's a speed game, not so easy. So you're going to shuffle the cards. Make sure you shuffle them well. And I will say I probably did not shuffle these well before doing this, but that's okay. Each player, you're going to deal each player 4 cards. All right, so this is me as a player, and I have 4 cards. The goal is to get 4 of a kind. And when I say 4 of a kind, there are a few different ways you could do this, which I've got this on the alternate gameplay ideas. The original is that you get like 4 Bs. So this would be 2 Bs because there's treble and there's bass. So I would want to collect the 2 bass clef Bs and the 2 treble clef Bs. That would be my 4 of a kind. But if you want to make it simpler for younger students or more beginner students, print 2 sets of cards. And then you will have 4 identical B treble clef, 4 identical bass treble clef. If you would like to do it that way. You can also, I do not have this in the game instructions, but if you are focusing on a few specific notes, you can take out just those cards. So let's say you're in middle C position and those are the only notes you want to focus on. Then you could just take out your middle C notes and play that with your students and just make sure you have enough cards to go around with all your students. So the basic gameplay, I will put this player's cards right here. Oh, nice, they've got 3 Cs. And then this player card's right here. So I'm doing this as if there are 3 players. So I need 2 tokens. So I'm going to use a 2 and a 1. I will say there are 2 ways you can play this. You can play it with just 2 tokens, like 1 less than a player, Or if you want everyone to have something to grab, you can throw a -1 on there, because then it's like, oh, it wasn't necessarily a good thing to grab it. Okay, so this player is definitely going for the C's, and you can decide if you want them to go for all middle C's or just C's in general. I would personally just do any C. That one's actually the easiest one because there are 8 C's as opposed to 4 of any other note. So this student might also go for the C's because they've got 2. But what they don't know, because everyone's holding their cards like this, they don't know that this student is not going to give them any C's. So spoiler alert, that student's probably not going to win if they try for C's. Granted, they don't know that. Okay, so the way Spoons works, or neighborhood notes in this case, is you have one player who has the draw stack, and they pick a card, they see if it matches, and if so, they keep it. This is a B, we want a B, and they discard one of their cards. And it keeps going, like this person is just focused on doing their thing and discarding, and it's a fast game, and so they're looking for a B. So they're just going to be like whizzing through these cards until they get to a B. All right, so there's a B. Meanwhile, we're going to pretend that they didn't see that, because at the same time they're discarding, this player, this would be easier to do if I had more than one person here, but I don't. This person is looking for their C, so they're going to pick up what that person discarded, and there's a C. They're going to discard this. They've got 4 C's, so they get to grab something from the board. Now, they can kind of sneak grab something from the board. If people don't notice, they keep on playing. But if, as soon as someone noticed, they scramble to grab what's left. And that's where it's important, because this person doesn't necessarily want to grab what's closest to them. They just don't want to get the -1, so they might want to get this one. And then this person ends up with the -1. There's your points. This person has 2. This person has 1, and this person has -1. So now for the second round, since there's so few players, for the second round, if you wanted to use different tokens and they can keep their tokens, you can do that. You can really just like mix this up however you want to. They can keep their tokens. They could just write it on paper. There's so many ways you can keep score, because for 3 players, you can only do 2 rounds because there are only 7 icons. So one round is 3, the next round is 3, and then you don't have any left over. So you'll have to remix them up. You could do it completely random, where you shuffle it, or you have them like in a cup or in your hand where the students can't see it, and they each pick one. And it's like, all right, let's pick 3 tokens to go on the game board, and they pick it without seeing it. So they might only get all 1s, and that one is not a 1. I was hoping it would be a 1. So they might only get all 1s, and yeah, there's a bunch of different ways. Basically, it's versatile. You can do however you want to. There's no like, you have to set up the game board this way. So that's how it's played. You have your 4 cards, you have your draw stack, and the person discards, and that's the next person's draw stack, and the person discards, and that's the next person's draw stack. And then whoever gets 4 of a kind first grabs a building strategically, because they're aiming for 5 points. And then you shuffle the cards and you go again, and you shuffle cards and you go again. So I would usually do whoever grabbed it first, whoever went out first, they get to be the dealer next turn. So yeah, really, really, really easy gameplay. It's a flashcard review. Students have to think fast because they have to identify that this is a C, and also, where's my other? This is a C, and then if they had the bass clef C as well. So it's a really good way to review note names in different places on the staff. I hope you and your students have fun with neighborhood notes and do really well with learning notes at a fun, fast pace. Don't forget to celebrate with the success poster. If you take pictures, share it with us at Music Game Club on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. Also, don't forget to send home your students with this activity sheet to give them a little bit of extra theory review. We hope you have fun.